afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Brainy Boomer Lecture Series. We're so very happy that you've all joined us today. In 2007, the McGill University Research Center for Studies in Aging, or the MCSH Education Committee, started the Brainy Boomer Lecture Series in order to suggest practical steps to both improve and maintain brain health, as well as to promote healthy lifestyle choices amongst the most populous generation in history. The MCSA's Education Committee, which was founded in 1996, has three main objectives: identifying education needs of healthcare providers, seniors, caregivers, and the public, and to develop responses to meet some of their needs, to enhance the positive image of the aging process by addressing stereotypes and myths about aging, and finally, the dissemination of research on aging. Your presenters for today are Sophie Lalonde-Bester and Danielle Akal, who are two third-year dietetics students at McGill University. Before continuing, we would like to remind you to please mute your microphone on Zoom, and that if you have any questions, just wait until the end of the conference, or you could write them down in the chat box on Zoom. And now I'd like to invite Sophie and Danielle to start their presentation, Eat and Age Well, Eating When You Have Low Energy.
Thanks for the introduction, Caitlin, and welcome back, everyone. We're so happy that you've joined us today. Today's presentation is on the topic of eating when you are low on energy, especially in the context of this third wave and this pandemic. We hope that the tips that we give you today are going to be really helpful. And we also are going to show you a recipe for a really quick apple crisp for two, done with our super secret method. And then we're also going to show you what to make with chicken leftovers. So today's workshop is relevant if you've been feeling stressed out or anxious or discouraged about the third wave or more isolated and lonely than you normally are. It's also relevant for you if you maybe have lost weight or lost your appetite, if you've been sick or feeling unwell, or if none of this applies to you. This workshop is relevant if you're supporting someone who's been unwell, and we'll also give you tips for how you can help your friends and family. If you have a pen and paper with you, we recommend that you have it on hand so you can write down a few of the things that we're going to tell you today. So to begin, obviously, COVID-19 has changed the way that we shop, cook, eat, and live our lives. So just before we begin, we're going to start with a little icebreaker. In the chat box, or you can unmute yourself, feel free to tell us what food memory from the past year will you cherish and retell when this pandemic is all over. Danielle, do you want to start us off while we let our participants think about this and put it in the chat box?
Yeah, sure. Mine was more related to mishaps that I had in the kitchen when the pandemic first started. So I actually messed up my sourdough starter. And yeah, what about you, Sophie?
Oh, that's a classic, when everyone was baking bread. Yeah. I think the food memory that I'm going to cherish from this past year is all the outdoor picnics that I've had. I've really embraced eating outside in warm weather and getting away from my dinner table. So I'm going to cherish those. Oh, we're getting some great responses from participants. Thank you for sharing your food memories. Oh, Caitlin, you also said picnics. Nice.
Someone is making bagels too. That's nice. And
anything homemade is always so great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for sharing your memories, everyone. Oh, Teresa said that her kids and her learned how to make great Thai food. I love Thai food. That sounds delicious. All right. Thanks, everyone. It's great to see everyone's memories, making the most of this pandemic. All right. With that, some of you might feel like the woman in this picture here, and you feel like you've cooked 450 dinners this month, and that doesn't even include the lunches that you've had to make. So maybe if you're feeling a little bit exhausted from cooking, we're gonna help you out today and give you some suggestions. So on the menu today, we're going to discuss four main topics. We're going to start with making every bite count and zooming in on protein and calories. Then we're going to look at some simple and meal and snack ideas for you that you can make when you're feeling low on energy. Then we're going to give you some nutrition tips for what to do when you're low on energy. And then we're going to finish off with the section on reaching out to others. So to start us off, how to make every bite count. There are 4 keys to doing this. The first key is eating a healthy, balanced diet. Eating a healthy, balanced diet is a great way to make every bite count because you know that every bite is going to be nutritious. Then customizing and enjoying foods that reflect your preferences, traditions, culture, and budget is a great way to make every bite count. Then focusing on nutrient-dense foods and beverages to make sure that you're getting the most punch out of every bite. And then last, using moderation when eating foods with added sugars, saturated fat, and sodium to make sure that you're focusing more on whole foods and healthful foods. So how can we make sure that we're getting enough protein and calories? Maybe this applies to you if you've kind of lost your appetite, you're eating smaller meals than normal, or you've lost a little bit of weight. So we're going to give you 5 good ideas to make sure that you're eating enough. So we're going to focus in on each of these 5. To start us off, the first tip is to eat small, frequent meals. Maybe the thought of having 3 massive plates a day is a little bit too exhausting for you and you find that you can't finish your meals, then this is a great idea for you. Try to eat something every few hours. So have 3 small meals with 2 to 3 snacks each day. What's important here is actually eating a breakfast to kickstart your day is a great idea, even if it's a smaller breakfast, because then you know that you'll be having your morning snack and then your lunch, and you'll be eating every 2 to 3 hours. And we're actually going to give you some meal and snack ideas in section 2, where we'll go over some recipes. This is the first tip, eating small, frequent meals. The next tip is to focus on high protein foods and eat something high in protein with every meal or snack. So it's a great idea to have some ready to eat small high protein snacks on hand in the fridge and in the pantry and in your toolbox. And so we'll show you some great high protein recipes today. And getting enough protein as we age especially is really important because protein is used to maintain muscle mass, which can help us keep our strength and prevent falls. Having enough protein will also help us recover faster from illness or hospitalizations, and it'll give us more strength to be active. So going up the stairs, for example, won't be as exhausting. Mm-hmm. So let's do a quick review on protein foods. I know we've touched on them in our previous workshops, and you probably know some, but can you list some protein foods that you know in the chat box?
So I'll be monitoring the chat.
What are some protein-rich foods that you like to eat?
We're getting cheese, nuts, yogurts, nuts, salmon, chicken, turkey, legumes, chicken. Yes.
You're all experts. Wow.
Yogurt, eggs, cold boiled eggs. Wow, that's good.
Oh, you guys got them all. Okay. Here's our compilation of protein-rich foods. Good job, everyone. So you're all correct. Meats and fish and poultry are all rich in protein, but so are legumes like the red kidney beans here, nuts and seeds, eggs, we have tofu, and dairy. So good job, everyone. Those are all common protein foods. So with that, here is an activity for you. So Mr. J is having spaghetti with tomato sauce for dinner. This meal doesn't have too much protein, but what can Mr. J do to add protein to his dinner? What are your suggestions? So we have add some cheese, add some meatballs.
Add fish.
Cheese, fish, nuts.
Cheese, yep.
Parmesan
cheese is also rich in
cheese.
calcium, so calcium is good.
Parmesan cheese.
Yes.
Yep.
Parmesan.
Oh, good job, everyone. You're all generating such good ideas. We'll show you what Danielle and I had come up with for Mr. J. Thanks, everyone, for participating. So Mr. J, as you said, could add some ground meat to his sauce or add some meatballs. Also, what wasn't mentioned is Mr. J could add some lentils to his sauce for a similar effect. Lentils are a great source of plant-based protein and also add some fiber to his meal. Mr. J could try a seafood pasta dish instead with some shrimp, for example. As we said, he could top it off with some cheese. And then what was also not mentioned is Mr. J could try legume pasta. And maybe some of you have seen this in the grocery store, but this is a type of pasta sold in the pasta section of the grocery store that's actually made with legumes. Like in the picture here, we have a red lentil and a chickpea variety. I really like this pasta. It's rich in protein, and to me, it tastes very close to regular pasta. So if you're interested, you could try this next time you're at the grocery store. Okay, so we've talked about eating small, frequent meals, and we've talked about protein-rich foods. The third tip that we have for making every bite count is to have nourishing beverages. So what this means is try not to fill up on drinks like tea or coffee or water that are rich in water and aren't really nutrient dense. So instead, try milkshakes or smoothies or creamy soups instead of broth soups, just to make sure that you're not filling up on something that's empty, that you're getting more nutrition. You can also try to limit sugar-sweetened beverages and switch for something more nutritious. And then if you drink plant-based beverages, you could try soy beverage instead of almond beverage, because soy beverage is actually the richest plant-based beverage in protein. So that's a great option for you if that's what you're drinking. The next tip that we have is to make your food more nutritious. There's things that we can add to our meals like we did for Mr. J to boost our meals. So we talked about adding grated cheese on our meals like the chili in this picture. We can also add nuts and seeds to our breakfast cereals, our smoothies, and our baking. And what I actually like to do is to mix finely chopped nuts with breadcrumbs when I'm breading fish or meat or anything that I'm breading. And it's really delicious too. And then what you can also do is add a couple tablespoons of skimmed milk powder to your hot drinks or your puddings, smoothies, sauces, or your breakfast cereals. And so this is the nutrition fact table for skim milk powder. Maybe some of you use it, but I feel like this is often like a forgotten ingredient. And I really like skim milk powder because there's no added sugar, as you can see, and it's kind of like a natural protein powder. So per 4 tablespoons, you get 9 grams of protein. So this is a really great way to add some protein to your breakfast or your desserts or your lattes or whatever it is. And then the last tip that we have for you for making every bite count is to focus on foods that you enjoy. There's no point in making any food that you don't like and that you're not going to finish. So try new foods and flavors in the kitchen and make your meals colorful and vibrant and look nice. Eat cultural and traditional foods that you grew up with or that your family enjoys. You can also create a positive eating environment. I'm sure, as some of us have been doing in the pandemic, you might be eating in front of the TV, but try to set the table and make an event out of your meals. And then really bring back the joy of cooking and eating. So here's another quick little activity for you. So Mr. J is having a really bland and boring meal of asparagus, boiled potatoes, and some kind of mystery meat here, some fish or some chicken. What can we do? What are some simple things that Mr. J could do to make his meal look more appetizing and enjoyable so that we can bring back the joy of eating for Mr. J? I'll give you guys a minute to think. Feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat box, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Okay.
And potato with herbs and olive oil. That's a good idea. Add some seafood. Yeah, you're right. Lentil sauce. Add some lentil sauce. Stir fry asparagus and cut up potatoes and add butter.
Yeah, so even roasting instead of boiling would just add some color to the plate for sure.
Yeah, and add some colorful vegetables. Yeah, right. More varied vegetables.
Yeah, these are such great easy tips that can help Mr. J finish his meal and enjoy it. Thank you, everyone. Here are the tips, pretty much exactly what you have said. But Danielle and I were thinking Mr. J could add more veggies, as we've said. More color can make a meal more exciting. He could cook his fish with fresh rosemary and lemon. Someone said to sprinkle with parsley. That's a great idea. Have a side salad was mentioned. Even if the side salad is made of 2 ingredients, that's perfect. It adds a little bit more color and vibrancy. He could roast his potatoes, as we've said, with some spices. What wasn't mentioned, I don't think, was adding a whole grain like quinoa or brown rice. And then we've mentioned adding a sauce. So yeah, there's so many little tweaks that we can make to make our meals more fun. Thanks, everyone. Whoop, sorry, I skipped a slide.
So thank you, Sophie, for those amazing tips. Now, after Sophie have told you how to make every bite count and how to get enough protein and calories throughout your day, now we have for you some easy meals and snack ideas that you can do. So some of them you can do them when you have energy, while others are so simple and so appetizing that you would like to make them. So here at first we'll have a short activity. You can write your answers in the chat box. Mr. J is having his oatmeal cooked with water. What can he do to increase his protein intake? So as you can note in his breakfast, and in comparison to the Canada's food guide, he's only having one food group on his plate, which is the oatmeal. So how can he diversify things by including more stuff? Okay, some add milk, yes. Add
and I'm guilty of this because this is a dessert, or not a dessert, a breakfast that I have often. I have oatmeal cooked with water, and I always need to think of ways to add protein to my oatmeal.
Yeah, what they're suggesting: milk, berries, and chopped bananas for freshness, yogurt and nuts. Those are some great ideas. Ground flaxseed. Wow, they have.
You guys are on fire.
Yeah, they actually have more ideas than we did.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
So here we have a recipe for you. So we would say to add regular milk, like regular milk or soy beverage. And here in our recipe, we also added some milk powder. So as Sophie has previously told you, milk powder can add additional protein to your meal. So he can also top his oatmeal with seeds, nuts, which are also an excellent source of protein. And finally, he can top it with fruits to make it more fresh. So you all got all the ideas in the comments. Perfect. So for our second recipe, which is the sunny fruit shake, so you can simply use whatever frozen fruit or fruit juice that you have on hand. This recipe is so simple that you will only need 3/4 of a cup of yogurt and 2 tablespoons of the skim milk powder. And this is actually my go-to drink when I have no time and I need to eat something very quickly. So I typically have mine with banana and frozen strawberries. And finally, our last recipe is build your own trail mix. So I find making my own trail mix is much better than buying a pre-made one because I can add whatever I like to it and customize it based on my taste. And of course, you can eat trail mix on their own, or you can add them to cereal, salads, yogurt, and even to ice cream. For instance, I like to add my trail mix to a vanilla ice cream with some homemade strawberry jam. It gets so crunchy and so delicious. So after seeing those recipes, what are some of your easy go-to meals or snacks?
We'd love it if you could share some of your quick meals and snacks with the rest of the crew so we can get some inspiration from everyone. Oh, and then Maddie also had a question, is milk powder high in sugar? Skim milk powder has no added sugar, actually. The only sugar that's in it is the natural sugar from the lactose in milk. Okay, so we're getting some ideas for snacks. We have hard-boiled eggs, kale chips,
almonds, dates, cubes of cheese. Wow.
Oatmeal or bran muffin. Thanks, Miji, for that suggestion. Yum, you guys are making me hungry.
Make ice cream. Nice.
All right. Yum. So with that,
Now here we have some additional high protein snack ideas that are easy to make for you to consider. So as some of you have suggested, hard-boiled eggs can be nutritious and it's very simple to do. We have added additional tips like roasted chickpeas. So here you can use an unsalted canned chickpeas and you can add the spices that you like. So I like to add paprika, cumin, and curry and a bit of olive oil. And then you put it in the oven for 20 minutes at 425 degrees. You can eat it as a snack, or you can even top it on your favorite salads or add it in your wraps if you like. Also, we have energy bites. So as the name implies, those are energy dense and they are so quick to eat. So there are plenty of recipes that you can find on Google, and they are typically made out of oats, nut butter, and dried fruits or chocolate chips. We also have other basic snacks for you, like peanut butter or other types of butter with apples, cheese with crackers like mozzarella and cheddar cheese, and vegetables with any dip like hummus or spinach cheese spread or high protein ranch dip that is made out of Greek yogurt. And finally, protein bars that you can find at the grocery store. So if you want to buy one, choose one that is made out of whole ingredients like nuts, nut butter, seeds, and grain. You can check that on the nutrition, on the ingredient list on the label. So you might be wondering about oral nutritional supplements like Boost or Ensure. Although sometimes it might be tempting to reach for a commercially made product as a first step to replace our meals, there are many things that we can do, as we have previously discussed, to get our nutrition from food. So that could be by adding more snacks or enjoying our meals. But sometimes if you have lost weight or you're eating less than usual or you have low appetite, sometimes your doctor or nutritionist might suggest that you have oral nutrition supplement, and in that case you might need to follow their advice. Now, after you've heard about all those meals and snack ideas, let's get into cooking and find ways to make easy recipes that are appetizing that you would want to make and eat. So first of all, how to use leftover chicken. So if you're like me, I always struggle with what to do with my rotisserie chicken on the second day. I don't like to eat it plain. So here are two recipes that we can do with our leftover chicken. The first one is versatile chicken avocado salad, where you can add chicken either into a sandwich or on the top of any griffy leaves. And the second recipe is a hearty chicken red lentil soup. So this relates to what we spoke about last time, which is about adding more plant-based vegetables into our meals. So in addition to the chicken, we'll have the red lentils to make our meal a more wholesome meal. So let's go further and see those recipes. I hope you're excited. And I'm pretty sure that Caitlin have sent the recipes in the chat box. So here we have the versatile chicken salad. You will need 2 avocados. And then you will need Greek yogurt and a lemon and honey mustard, Dijon mustard. So you can use regular mustard if you want. So here I'm adding 1.5 of the avocado to a large bowl, and I'm going to mash it using a fork.
And Danielle, avocados are such a great source of monounsaturated fats, like we talked about last time.
Yeah, exactly. And those avocados also look so fresh and green. I don't typically have that. So now I'm adding some Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is a very good source of protein. So 1/3 of a cup of Greek yogurt to the mashed avocados. And then I'm adding some Dijon mustard. 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. You can have less, or if you don't like Dijon mustard, you don't need to add it. And then I'm going to get the zest of 1 lemon.
And lemon zest is such a great way to add a nice zing to your meals and a nice flavor, especially if you're getting bored of some of the recipes you make at home.
Yeah, exactly. And you already have the lemon, so you can just zest it and add that extra flavor. So now here I'm adding the juice of 1 lemon, and I'm mixing all my ingredients together. So this is the dressing. It's really simple. It's few ingredients. Now you will need 2 cups of shredded chicken. You can use the rotisserie chicken, or if you want, you can cook whatever chicken you have and then shred it. You will need 4 green onions, a bunch of grapes, and some cilantro. You can substitute the cilantro with parsley if you don't like cilantro. So now you will add all those ingredients, and the other half from the second avocado, which I didn't mash, I will add it like pre-cut. So here I'm adding my shredded chicken, my chopped green onions. So I also use for the green onions both the greens and the whites. And then I'm adding some grapes.
Grapes are such a nice addition to the salad, a nice different like sweetness and a way to incorporate a fruit.
Yes, of course. And also you can add other kind of fruits like mangoes or apples. It would also like give a bit of sweetness if you have some in your fridge. So I also added my avocados, and now I'm adding some ground pepper and I'm mixing it all together. So here you can either add the cilantro on this, or you can leave it on the side and add it to your own plate.
This is such a great recipe because there's so limited dishes. Like I know you use those little bowls, but really you just need one big bowl.
Yeah, exactly. You chop and then put it in the big bowl. Yeah. So here your chicken salad recipe. And it is versatile because you can add some quantity into a pre-packaged some of the greens that you can buy from the store, or you can add it and do a sandwich with it. So here we're adding it to some greens, leafy greens.
That looks so fresh and yummy.
Yeah. And then here I'm adding it to a sandwich. So before that, I toasted my bread. You can do it in the oven or in a toaster if you have one. And then you add whatever quantity of chicken salad. And then I topped it with some tomatoes and additional greeny leaves. So it gives it a bit of crunch. And it's very easy to do, very simple. I feel like it's a very good use of leftover chickens.
What a great recipe. Oh, and look at that delicious sandwich. Wow.
So here we have our sandwich. Now let's look at our chicken red lentil soup.
Sorry, Danielle, I'm just gonna exit out of this. I'm not that good with. Oh man, oh no, I'm stuck.
Perfect, now it's back.
I just need to go full screen though. Okay, there we go. Oh, sorry everyone. Okay, we're back.
Perfect. So now for the chicken red lentil soup, you will need olive oil, onion, garlic, tomato paste, paprika, cumin, turmeric, black pepper, red lentils, carrot, chicken broth, and shredded chicken. So of course, wash your hands first. Now to a large pot, you will add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You can use whatever other vegetable oil that you have, but as we have seen last time, olive oil has the unsaturated fat. Now I'm adding 2 small onions. I chop them and then I'm adding them to the oil. I'll put this on medium heat now. So you'll need to cook it for about 4 minutes on medium heat. And until the onions get brown a bit. And now I'm adding 1 chopped garlic clove. And then you'll need to cook it for an additional 2 minutes until you can smell the fragrance of garlic. Now I'm adding 1 tablespoon of tomato paste and then half a teaspoon of paprika. So now we're gonna add all our spices, half teaspoon of paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, and then 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric.
These are all my favorite spices in one dish. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're pretty available in most kitchen. For the turmeric, some people don't have it, so they might substitute it maybe with the ginger. But yeah, but turmeric would give like a bit of color to your soup. So if you had it, it's good. It's good. So now I'll need to heat it up for about 1 minute until the spices get fragrant. And then I'm adding a bit of salt.
I can just imagine the smell in your kitchen, Danielle, when you were making this.
Yeah. So now I'm cooking it a bit more. Now you'll need to add the rinsed red lentils. So here I'm using red lentils because they are easy to cook. You don't need to soak them before. And they need, I think, the less amount of time and even water to cook.
Yeah, red lentils are the best lentils. They're so versatile and so easy to use.
Yeah. And now I'm adding 1 large carrot. And now I'll need to add 3 cups of chicken broth. So I used here a non-salted one. You can always check on the label, even if it says non-salted, you have to check on the label, nutrition fact table, and see if there are any sodium in that product. So you'll need to bring it to a boil, and then you'll simmer it for 20 minutes.
And then if you wanted, Danielle, you could probably use water or even coconut milk, right? In addition to the vegetable broth or chicken broth?
Yes, you can use water or other like coconut beverage or milk. So now I added my 1 cup of shredded chicken and I let it heat for about 1 minute. Remember, because the shredded chicken was in the refrigerator before. So I also added some black pepper. So you can see this recipe is more like a chili rather than a soup. But if you like yours to be more like a soup, you can add more water, more broth, or like Sophie suggested, coconut milk. So now I'm serving it in a small bowl. And I also like to top it with cilantro and lemon juice. I like to have a bit of acidity in my soup, especially when I eat it.
And the cilantro with such a nice touch of green also makes the meal nice and pretty.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also substitute it with parsley. So here you go.
Looks delicious.
Thank you. So Marilyn is saying what quantity of lentils? It's 1/3 of a cup.
All right, let's see if I'm faster at switching the slide this time.
So while you're doing that, maybe I can ask them what do you think of those recipes and what are some other ways that you use leftover chicken? So you can write in the chat box or unmute yourself.
Excuse me, could you please show the recipe for the soup again on the screen so I can make a picture?
We sent you the PDF version. Caitlin sent it to you. You just have to click on session 3 recipes. You will find the red chicken, red lentil soup. It's on the first page.
Okay, because I don't remember getting an email.
It's now in the chat box.
Hi,
okay,
it's in the chat box, and I'll also send it to you after today's event.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Excuse me, are those nutritional facts for the full recipe?
It's for 1 serving.
1 serving, okay.
Yes, now we'll discuss more about it. So now what are the leftover chicken ideas that you have? So some have said quesadillas, add chicken to green salad. Perfect, thank you. On a pasta dish over rice.
Great ideas, everyone. Oh, wraps with chicken and fresh veggies.
Nice.
You could also add some hummus or cream cheese in there too.
Those are easy to do too. Tacos, wow, those are good ideas. Thank you everyone for sharing. So now we'll look at the nutrition fact table. So first recipe per one serving for both. First recipe has 400 kcal, around 400 kcal, and the second one has around 300 kcal. So both recipes are high in protein or above the 20 grams, which is recommended for most meals. Now, I'm pretty sure you already know it, but can you share with us what is the protein source in each of those recipes? You can write your answer in the chat box or unmute yourself. So yes, for the red chicken red lentil soup, the chicken and lentils, yes. And for the chicken salad recipe, what is the protein source?
Okay, we're missing one. We have the chicken and the avocado, but there's one protein source also in the sandwich.
In the sandwich?
Yogurt? Oh, Mary has it. It's the yogurt, the Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt, yeah. Chicken and Greek yogurt is the source of protein in the chicken sandwich. Yeah, perfect. So other than that, you can also notice in the chicken salad, it has around 14 grams of fat, but most of the fat in it, or 12.5 grams of it, comes from avocados, which gives the healthy fat or the unsaturated fat. And also you might have heard of it, but fat also can give us a satiating effect. So you can feel satisfied after you eat your meal. And typically chicken salads are made with mayonnaise. So I like these recipes because we are using both avocado and yogurt in place of the mayonnaise. So they are less processed and also they have a better nutritional value than mayo. So now let's see our easy apple crisp recipe. This recipe is so easy to prepare and cook. And I think you have already received the recipe, so you can either follow along. It's on page 3 and 4. So you'll need 2 apples. Here I used a Granny Smith and Honeycrisp apple. And then you will coat them with whole wheat and lemon and dark brown sugar and cinnamon and ground cloves. So I like to add ground cloves to anything that has cinnamon in it, but typically it gives a bit of spicy flavor. So be careful whenever you're adding ground cloves. So here I chopped my 2 apples. See, I left the peels here. Peels have a fiber in them, so it's good to leave them. Now I added 1 tablespoon of whole wheat flour. And then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of lemon juice.
And the lemon juice is what actually keeps the apples from browning when you let them sit. It's the acidity.
Yes. So I also added brown sugar and now I'm adding some cinnamon. I think 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. You have to check the recipe, and then some ground cloves. You'll need to mix it up all together. So you can see those apples, the colors of the apples, I'm really liking it.
It's nice to use 2 kinds of apples because then every bite you get a kind of a nice blend of flavor.
Yes. And I think the Granny Smith have a bit of tartness while the other is more sweet. So that's good. So now you'll need, for the oat mixture, you need olive oil. You'll need the oat flakes. You'll need a kind of nuts. So here I used pecans, and then you'll need whole wheat flour and dark brown sugar. So here I added 2 tablespoons of olive oil. In other recipes, I think they use butter instead of olive oil. So olive oil is much better because it has the unsaturated fat. Here I'm adding 1/3 of oat, a quick oat. You can use the rolled oat too. And also, I think I'll add 3 tablespoons of pecans. You can use walnuts or other types of nuts that you have on hand. And then I'll add 2 tablespoons of whole wheat flour. And then 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. You can add honey or maple syrup instead. So this will give me, and then I also added some orange zest. So I had one orange in my fridge, and I thought it would give a good flavor. You can alternatively add the zest of the lemon or even vanilla extract. So now I mixed it all together. And now to 2 large mugs, make sure your mugs can be able to tolerate heat in the microwave. I'll add 2 tablespoons on the bottom. And then I'm gonna add 1 cup of the apples with the mixture on top.
And this is a fantastic way to make this recipe without making a huge dish of apple crisp that you'll never finish.
Exactly, and you can just do one and heat it and then leave the other one in the fridge. So as you said, the lemon would keep the apples from browning. So now I'll heat one of them. I'll put it in the microwave at 30 minutes, at 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And then when you're removing it from the microwave, be careful because it's going to be very hot. And also inside it's going to be very hot. So take your time before eating it. And now I'm going to top it with Greek yogurt. So 1 tablespoon or more of Greek yogurt. And then I'm going to add some dried cranberries. You can top it with nuts, granola, or other kind of dried fruit, or even fresh fruits if you like.
This is such a good recipe for dessert or breakfast. There's so many whole grains and fresh fruit, and looks delicious.
Exactly, and also for dessert, you can substitute the Greek yogurt with the ice cream, vanilla ice cream. So that would be really good. Perfect. So now a question for everyone. Have you ever prepared a microwaved apple crisp? And if you consider it might be something that you might do one time in the future? No one prepared it.
If no one's tried it, it's a perfect opportunity to try something new.
Yeah, you can tell us next week if you have tried it.
Yeah, I understand, Mary, that it's better crispy from the oven. Of course, it might not get as crispy, but it's definitely like if you're in a pinch and you just want a little dessert or quick breakfast, it's a great alternative to making a huge batch.
Yeah, and it's so fast to do also. Like you don't need to heat and everything. It takes you 3.5 minutes. So now let's discuss the nutrition fact table. So this recipe provides about 370 kcal, and it has about 23 grams of fat. Out of it, 20 grams are unsaturated, and the unsaturated fat are coming from the olive oil and the pecans that we have added, which are the healthy types of fat. And it also contains 6 grams of fiber, which comes from the oatmeal and the nuts. And also it contains 5 grams of protein, which also contains from the Greek yogurt and also from the nuts. Now, what can you do with the leftovers? So both chicken soup and salad can keep in the fridge for up to 3 days. You simply need to cover them with a plastic wrap and place them in Tupperwares. And tip, if you're planning to eat your soup, you can add some liquid to your soup before reheating, because I think the chicken soup tends to get thickened with time. So you can simply just add a bit of water or broth before reheating. And also chicken soup can be freezed for up to 3 months. So if you're planning on freezing your soup, I would recommend you to undercook your vegetables. So when you reheat it, it won't get mushy. And also don't forget to label your soup with the day that you have prepared it, because we typically forget when we have prepared our meals once they are in the freezer.
All right, so now that we've gone through some recipes and we have some inspiration, we'll quickly talk about some quick energy boosting tips and how food can play a role in boosting our mood. So the first thing that's often overlooked is that dehydration can cause fatigue. So it's really important to sip water throughout the day and have a water bottle at hand. Danielle is showing us some water and I've got my water bottle beside me. So it's always a great idea. And then fruits and vegetables have a lot of water in them naturally too. So eating whole produce can actually also keep us hydrated. The next tip is being active, and getting some fresh air or doing some light exercise can boost our energy and boost our mood. So going for a walk like the couple in this picture, or using a stationary bike or treadmill is also a great idea. Next, we touched on this earlier, but eating colorful and vibrant food can boost our energy. Like in the picture here, even using colorful plates and bowls can help us eat more and feel more satisfied with our meals. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, and as Caitlin mentioned earlier, eating a meal outside can be so much fun and so energy boosting, especially with the weather getting nicer. Might as well have a meal on the patio or on the balcony or in the park. It's a great idea to switch it up and get away from the boring dinner table. And a nutrition workshop about energy boosting would not be complete without a quick mention on caffeine. As we all know, caffeine is an energy booster. Just know that Health Canada recommends that healthy adults limit their caffeine intake to no more than 400 milligrams per day. So this comes out to about 3 cups of coffee per day. This is more of a reminder. I'm sure we all know this, but it might have been a while since you've heard it, but caffeine can interfere with our sleep, which can actually cause fatigue the next day. So if you're feeling fatigued and you're not too sure why, it might be because you're having coffee too late in the day. So I would recommend that you have your last cup of coffee or black tea around lunchtime, because caffeine can actually stay in our bloodstream for up to 10 hours and impact our sleep. And then we mentioned this earlier as well, but take advantage of your higher energy days and prepare meals and snacks on days where you have the most energy, so you can take advantage of that when you're feeling a bit low on energy. Especially as a busy student, I also like this rule where we should try to cook once, but eat twice. So that means always having batches or leftovers in the fridge, so that the following day it's nice and easy for us. And when we're too tired to cook, it's totally okay to choose recipes with fewer ingredients and take it easy on ourselves. Now, in the context of COVID-19, I'm sure some of you are wondering about how eating can help our immune system. And actually, eating healthy and a variety of food does play a big role in sustaining our immune system. So it's also, just know that it's also best to get our nutrients from food instead of supplements. And that especially proteins, healthy fats, antioxidants, and vitamins and minerals play important roles in our immune system. And we can get all these nutrients by eating balanced plate and eating a variety of healthy foods each day. Now, some of you might be speculating on nutrition, especially with COVID-19. Just know that there is no single food, supplement, or natural health product that will prevent COVID-19, but healthy eating can benefit and support our immune function, as we mentioned. And trust us, if there was a single food or supplement or something that we could take to cure COVID-19, we would all know about it by now. And some of you might have been reading a little bit about vitamin D and COVID-19. This is the most up-to-date research from Dietitians of Canada, and they're saying that there is not enough research to know if vitamin D supplements can prevent us from getting COVID-19 or helping us have milder symptoms if we do get infected. But just remember, as we mentioned in our osteoporosis presentation 3 weeks ago now, that as part of healthy eating, Health Canada recommends that people over the age of 50 take a supplement of 400 IU of vitamin D per day to help meet their needs. But of course, talk to your doctor or dietitian or pharmacist to individualize that for you. So hopefully that clears the air there. And then what can we do when we are feeling sick or feeling under the weather? The most important thing is to keep it simple and eat whatever you find appealing. The most important thing is just to continue to eat and stay well nourished. So whatever works for you is the right answer. However, it's important to stay hydrated. So drinking beverages and sipping water or even sipping on ice chips is a great idea to avoid dehydration. Also having soup, Soup is more filling than plain water and also has electrolytes to keep us well. That's why chicken noodle soup always seems to be the magic cure. Also, fruits, as we mentioned, are hydrating and they're full of antioxidants. And then if you're feeling nauseous or your stomach is unwell, foods with no odor, so cold and plain foods, might help you and make you feel less sick. And then kind of the take home here is when you're sick or feeling unwell, the absolute last thing that you want to do is go spend your energy at the grocery store, but then also spread your germs. So a key here is to have a stocked pantry at home and use what you have in cooking. So here's our tips for kind of an emergency pantry stock list, especially with COVID-19 and kind of difficulties grocery shopping. It's great to stock up on these foods. So we recommend having canned soups, but ideally reduce sodium if you can. Also reduce sodium canned goods like tomatoes and beans and tuna. Also having garlic and onion, as we saw, it's a staple in the recipes that we're showing you. And then having frozen fruits and vegetables is a great idea because frozen produce is often just as healthy as regular produce. And then other things like that are mentioned here, for example, having bread in the freezer is a great idea. So, whoops, I skipped a slide. Oh, my bad. I can't go back. But with that, maybe can you tell us what your pantry staples are, like what you like to have on hand at home? Maybe it'll help some others build their emergency shelf. I know that I really like to have oatmeal. Oatmeal is my staple. Miji said legumes. I love having just canned chickpeas on hand. I can add them to whatever dish I'm making. Pasta, meat in the freezer. Meat in the freezer is a great idea.
Frozen bread, beans, and tuna fish. Yes, bread can be frozen.
Peanut butter. Oh, peanut butter is such a good one. Yeah. I feel like I'd go crazy if there was no peanut butter in my house. Awesome. Thanks for your tips, everyone. Those are really great pantry staples.
So thank you, Sophie. So after we have learned about what to do when we are fatigued and have low energy, one important thing that tends to be overlooked is reaching out for others for help. So sometimes this could be the most important thing that we can do to get better. And it goes without saying, if the 1 year of isolation due to the restriction might have made you feel lonely or even stressed, or might have impacted your appetite or decreased your energy, you are not alone, because social interaction could go a long way to improve our mood and hence our appetite. Now, even with all those restrictions, I think you can still eat together, for example, on Zoom, which I think you are all expert with. So asking your friends or family to join you on meals on Zooms could be a great way to make your meals more enjoyable. And there are, in fact, many benefits to eating together. So you can have a quality time with your loved ones. You can share food traditions across generation. So maybe you can share your favorite recipe to your children or grandchildren. And you can also explore new ways and new foods that you might not have normally tried. So this could be a great thing to do. And another thing that you can do is to swap meals with your neighbors. So since you might not be able to have a meal together, a fun idea is to each cook a recipe and then swap a portion of your recipe with the other person. So this way you can try new recipes, new flavor, and even get creative in your kitchen. But as always, before doing so, make sure that you know if your neighbors have any kind of diet restriction or if they have allergies, and also always practice good hygiene and food safety principles, like washing your hands before cooking. And you can also start a club with your friends. So where each week someone would share their favorite recipe to all club members. And after you have tried the recipes, you can share photos of what you came up with and then have a Zoom meeting and eat together and discuss if you have changed anything about that recipe. And by this way, you'll try new recipes, you'll get excited about cooking, and you will definitely make you enjoy your meals better. And finally, if you're still having difficulty in buying grocery food or cooking in buying grocery or in cooking food, there are still many strategies that you can use. And it's always okay to ask for others for help when we need to. So for example, you can ask your children to buy your grocery once per week on a Friday and then provide them with a grocery list. And you can also order some meal kit delivery services where they deliver you with all the ingredients pre-prepared, like pre-portioned and pre-cut, and you will only need to cook those ingredients. And this is actually a perfect way to try new recipes and experiment with cooking. And alternatively, there are also some companies that deliver healthy prepared meals too. So you would only need to heat those meals before eating. And you can also try some online grocery shopping. So many supermarkets now have that option, and sometimes they can even offer discounts to seniors. And also Meals on Wheels, which could be another option where someone might deliver you prepared food and help you set out your table, and community services like In Servizio, where they can refer you to existing resources and services to help you out if you need. And also in CLSC services, where in some case they might even provide you with someone to come and help you make your meals. And finally, splitting your groceries with a friend. So we took that idea from our friend's grandma, where her grandma and her neighbor split their grocery. So one person would go and do the grocery and would split some of the bulk item that they have bought. So this makes grocery shopping easier and cheaper, and especially you can do that if you live alone. So finally, it goes without saying, if you're not feeling low on energy, maybe someone of your friends or family is. So it would be really nice if you can offer help for that individual and even share some of the tips and recipes that you have learned today from this session. So now here we have some of the resources for you. So as always, the Canada's Food Guide, where you can find some healthy eating basics and tips and healthy recipes. And also we have joined the links for Meals on Wheels and some of the meal kit delivery services in Montreal. And finally, Fight Back for some food safety tips and tricks. Now, if you have any question, feel free to ask us in the chat box. And this would be the end for this session, and stay tuned for next session. We'll have our last workshop, which is healthy eating on a budget.